Game Review.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am Apas Khan, and over the next few weeks and months, I'm going to be examining some older titles to see how well they hold up and perform on the Windows 10 platform. And we're going to kick that off by examining one of the greatest racing titles to hit last generation, and that's the initial Grid by Codemasters. And my reviews are consumer-based reviews. I like to keep them as objective as possible. I review things solely on two metrics. How many hours of gameplay do you get for the dollars you spend, and how well optimized is this game for PC? So let's get into the first one of those. How much content and what kind of content are you getting for your hard-earned money? Well, the good news is this game is chopped full of content. My single-player career mode playthrough clocked in at a staggering 20 hours, and that's with skipping several of the Le Mans events. So if you are somebody who's looking to work your way all the way up to first place, to work your teammate all the way up to first place, to achieve 100% throughout the career mode, you could be looking at upwards of 30 plus, maybe even 40 plus hours of content at your hands. And that content is spread across 3 different license categories. You have your USA, your European races, as well as your Japanese races. Each one of them has their own specific flair, and each specific geographic region has their own unique disciplines. You have just an excessive amount of different race styles and different vehicles for those different race styles presented to you throughout the lengthy duration of your career. And those different disciplines also come with a wide array of tracks and a wide array of different configurations of those tracks. So even though you might be racing the same circuits over and over again, they constantly feel fresh and different. They never wear out their welcome, and you get a staggering amount of vehicles as well, each tailored to a specific discipline, each with their own unique handling and driving style. I know this is a bit subjective, but for my money, in my opinion, the car handling in this game is the most enjoyable of any racing game I've ever played, of which I play a lot. And the progression system of the career mode is also one of the most well-executed tiered ladder systems I've seen in a racing game. It doesn't unnecessarily force you to complete ridiculous objectives, to earn stars, to unlock the next rung of track, the next tier of events. It doesn't treat you like a video game, it treats you like you are a real-life race car driver in a real-life racing scenario, where you're climbing up the ladder, earning points to unlock licenses to get into the higher tiers. You're not punished for losing, you're not punished for coming in second or third, you're rewarded for competing in events and finishing those races, via sponsorships, via money, and via XP. Not only are you trying to advance yourself, you also work in tandem with a teammate, so you're also trying to elevate and help your teammate progress to the top of the leaderboards as well. So it has that nice dynamic of a real-life racing team, where you're acquiring sponsorships, building up your garage of cars, and rising through the ranks at a reasonable, realistic pace, starting out at the bottom and working your way up through hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of rankings. After 20 hours, after completing every race event in the career mode, I still hadn't worked my way up to first place. So that tells you how nicely the progression scheme of this game works. It doesn't expect you to be a master of every single discipline. As long as you finish the race, you're rewarded in some way, so it always feels like no matter how bad you do, you're never wasting your time. You're always building forward, even if it's just a minuscule, tiny amount. You're still building on to the legacy of your career, which is how a career mode should work. And in terms of gameplay, the car handling, in my opinion, to this day is still some of the best available in a racing title. They nailed it the first time out of the gate, and to be honest, I don't even think the newer Grid games have car handling as good as this initial title did. The graphics still hold up to a certain extent. When driving, everything still looks beautiful. The lighting model is fantastic, but on close-up shots, some of the textures are a little dated. In terms of controls, I used an Xbox One controller for this title, and it worked flawlessly without having to download or install any additional plugins, so that's a big thumbs up there in terms of functionality with modern devices. But in terms of performance and optimization, this is where Grid is going to lose a few points, as Codemasters games notoriously have this little bug to them. It writes an excessive amount of data to your hard drive, recording the replay to play back at the end of the game, and to utilize the flashback rewind system when you wreck in the game. And this can cause a bottleneck in your system if you're using a mechanical hard drive. For me, when I tried to run this off of a standard hard disk drive, not exactly the highest tier, fastest hard drive you can buy, but pretty much what your standard gamer would be using for a mechanical drive, the game would completely come to a standstill for about 5-6 seconds, then kick back in. And this would have some catastrophic results, causing accidents, causing me to have to restart events. Ultimately, I ended up having to switch out and install it on an SSD, and when installed to an SSD, that problem vanished. So, keep that in mind if you have an interest in playing this game. You may need to run this off of an SSD due to that little Codemasters replay bug that is a problem in nearly all of their titles. Beyond the little glitch with the replay system, there's no crashing issues, there's no frame rate issues. The game runs as it should. Ultimately, I'm giving the initial Grid an 8.8 out of 10. From a value perspective, it is without a doubt a 10 out of 10 must-own racing title at any price. I mean, I would still recommend this game at $60. But I mean, you can get this for the price of a hamburger at McDonald's. I mean, this thing is often on sale for sub $5 prices at this point. So if you don't already own Grid, you should pick it up. The only negative to be seen in this game is that replay system, which unfortunately, if you don't have an SSD or if you have a slower mechanical hard drive, may be a deal breaker for you. So if you pick up this game or any Codemasters game and you're noticing some significant lag and delay, it's likely due to that replay system, and you should probably go right away before you hit that 2-hour mark and get your refund, because you're probably, outside of buying a new hard drive, you're probably not going to find a workaround that replay issue. But the amount of people that's going to impact is probably quite small and quite insignificant, but nonetheless, I feel necessary to warn you in case that is something that may affect you. In any event, objectively speaking, this is one of the best racing titles of all time, and subjectively speaking, outside of Need for Speed 3, this is my favorite racing game of all time. You need this in your collection.